Cena, I felt so horrible for the man. He gets rock bottom, and we cheer for that? That's, like, I don't even, he did smirk everything off, but it reminds me of Scott Hall when he did that documentary. I laughed so I don't cry. You can't tell me that John Cena doesn't feel bad. People in his own hometown boo him and tell him they want him to retire. That was just a sad moment, but The Rock did help it, but at the same time, seeing Cena work 300 days a year and for everyone to just not really care about him kind of sucks.
To be completely honest, I don't think he gives a damn about being booed. Like, I think at the end of the day, Cena realizes that as long as he's getting a reaction, it's a success, whether they're cheering for him or booing him, because he's the type of person, he's even said this before, if you don't like him, like there are a lot of people out there who just don't like Cena, doesn't matter what he does, they just plainly do not like him. Even if he puts on a good match, has a good promo or anything, they just don't like the dude. And at this point in his career, he's realized that he has no reason to try to cater to those people. So
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Even with them not liking him, he's still the number one guy in the company.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because when Cena actually did try to wrestle and he did the monkey flip combination, people were like, ooh, and then after that they chanted, you still suck.
Exactly.
You still suck. So I don't think a heel turn is going to remedy this, because when John Cena gets booed, it's a we don't like you, we want you to retire boo. It's not like a boo, you suck, but we kind of like you, Cody Rhodes kind of heat. It's a we don't want you here boo. So heel turn, we know how the marks are. You guys, even if he does turn heel, let's say that he does a fantastic job like Batista's last run. You guys are going to cheer him, and the kids are going to boo him. So what's the point? We may as well make the money off of him so you people will stop booing him. If you don't like John Cena, the worst thing you could do to him is not say anything, because worst comes to worst. And I was talking to a couple of fans in that arena. They're like, whoa, why do you like John Cena? The whole point is Vince McMahon made money off of us. We paid to see him. He doesn't care if we boo him, doesn't care if we cheer him, doesn't care if we sit on our hands. We paid money to see that. So if you don't like John Cena, don't buy anything WWE related. That's the only way this will stop.
Yeah, and that whole "we want you to retire" chant has made him the biggest moneymaker for the company since 2006.
Let's be honest. No, WWE is a financially public. It's public. You can see all the records. The WWF was more popular back then, but they're making more money now with these kids. So, I mean, I wouldn't do anything to change that either. Publicly traded company, people, go check it out. John Cena's making more money than Austin. Got very quiet for that.
Hey,
go look it up. Don't kill the messenger.
No, we need it for that to sink in, because to be completely honest, it is the truth. So I'm a WWE stockholder, so yeah, I know all of that stuff that you were talking about. Those financials, they come straight to my house, and so yeah.
This ties in with the whole John Cena thing, though. Who do you think is going to end the show? This is what I said before. If you don't like John Cena, stop watching the show, stop buying the merchandise, because this will never change, no matter how over you.
For 4 months, because I'm sick of seeing this guy. He just now started picking it back up.
It's gonna.
You know what? Actually, I think that's a little bit unfair to say. Like, I understood what you were saying earlier, but to tell somebody if they don't like John Cena to absolutely stop watching the show isn't just about John Cena. Like, I think there's a way that people can support others. Like, I would say the whole hating thing, that's irrelevant. Like, there are guys who come to WWE shows with shirts to say, we hate Cena. It's not as if WWE is going to look at that, or Vince is going to say, look at that shirt and say, okay, well, somebody is wearing a We Hate Cena shirt, so Cena sold so-and-so amount of shirts this month to, he sold all these kinds of shirts, that's going to count as a negative purchase. It's not as if people hating John Cena reflects negatively upon him as long as the support is still there. So what I say, anybody who doesn't like John Cena, how about you focus that energy that you use on hating him to support somebody else? Look at what's happening with CM Punk. People finally started buying his T-shirts, buying pay-per-views when he was on the main event. Now look at where he is in WWE. He's a WWE champion. Look at Zack Ryder. He's making a way for himself. He got onto YouTube with the True Long Island Story. He's like, you know what? If creative isn't going to do anything for me, I'm going to do something for my damn self. I'm going to get me a groundswell of support from all of these fans. And look at where he is right now, getting pushes. He was in the main event of an episode of Monday Night Raw, while The Rock was giving a promo after Survivor Series, you actually had the crowd chanting, "We want Ryder."
That was awesome.
Look at what happens. Look at what happens when you actually support people. So the whole hating thing, that's something that I would absolutely never do. I can't even really say that I'm a John Cena fan, but I 100% support that message that he has on his shirt, Rise Above Hate, because hate doesn't do anything for anybody.
And to be honest, I mean, I didn't mean it.
Hey, I do not hate John Cena. I think the guy, personally, I think he's a good guy outside of the ring. And, you know, he's a half-decent talent inside of the ring. I'm just tired of seeing the guy. That's all it is. It's like, I felt no reason to watch John Cena. That's all.
I don't blame you. I mean, I didn't mean it like that. Don't watch the show. But honestly, there's not really much of an alternative because no matter how over a man gets, I'm going to say this. I'm going to have to admit it. CM Punk is probably more over than John Cena, but it doesn't matter. Just to quote The Rock, it doesn't matter what I think. You know, nothing is going to ever change until John Cena retires, and that will not happen until the man is around 40 years old. So we got about 4 more years of the C Nation.
Nah, something is going to change. People need to start showing support. Like, people can sit there and they can complain day in and day out. Hell, I've done it many times before in the past. But when it's time to show support for somebody, I do that. And I think a lot of people listening right now, you need to start doing that also. If you see somebody on a pay-per-view card that you support, don't go stream the damn show. Buy it. That's the kind of stuff that speaks to WWE. Like, you can make all these kind of petitions and you can curse them out on Twitter. Vince McMahon is not reading that damn WWE Twitter. It's not like he's on there. It's not like he's on there posting the messages himself. So
I couldn't tell the difference from watching that last episode of Raw.
Well, I don't know about that, but yeah, that's how you show your support for the people that you actually like. God.
Get off of your seats. I felt embarrassed, but I did it at the last house show I went. I marked out for Daniel Bryan. Do it, because if these guys are getting silent while they're getting world talent pushes, if you people are just on your hands and stuff, they're not going to push them anymore. And you're going to go on the internet and you're going to say, Vince McMahon is so stupid, he's so old, he's lost touch with all the company and all the faces and heels are stupid. Cheer for him. Buy his merchandise. That's how Vince hears things. Vince doesn't hear with his ears. He hears with his eyes. His eyes sees money, he will capitalize on it. That's the only thing that matters.
Also, money has a very distinctive smell, so he could see with his nose, theoretically. But seriously, I do see Jadov's point. I see David's point. But more so than that is that you want to see support for a guy. Then, why don't you look back at Madison Square Garden a couple years ago, 2009, with Kofi Kingston? That was the highlight of the man's career. He was no more over at any point in his career than he was that night. I believe, and something happened within the company, I would presume, for him to get pushed down on the card, and he never really got that main event shot that I think he deserved. So supporting a guy can only do so much. I mean, eventually it comes down to the guy. I don't even know what it comes down to anymore. I mean, Zack Ryder got over. Great for him, man. I mean, the guy has a lot of talent. But there are a whole bunch of factors that play into this, that play into a successful career in the WWE, and I would think that politics is one of them. I mean, there is no reason why Kofi Kingston should not be a main eventer right now. There's no reason why John Morrison should not be a main eventer right now, other than stuff that may or may not have happened backstage.
Well, it doesn't even matter backstage. If you're going to make me a buck, who cares if you can't beat up my world champion in real life? That doesn't matter. That's the thing I don't understand with politics. It's about making money. To call a businessman greedy is kind of redundant. That's the whole point. With all these guys who get their pushes and they, sweep the rug under them, look at Alex Riley. It's kind of stupid. There's not really much of a point in pushing him if you're just going to sweep the rug from under him.
I mean, we can't ignore the fact that politics actually does play a factor in wrestling. Like, people talk about, there's a lot of names that exist in wrestling today and even in the past where people talk about, they're a backstage politician and they're this and they're that, and that's the only reason why they have success in the business. Well, the honest truth is backstage politics has existed for as long as the professional wrestling business itself. That is definitely one element that you have to take into account when you do things like that. And I think anybody who gets into the business expecting for that not to be, a factor, they're getting into the business where they shouldn't be, because you can't come and change something that's been done since the entire history of the business. So you either play the game or you get played by the game. That's just how it goes. And sometimes it is unfortunate, because we've seen with people like John Morrison, we've seen with people like Kofi Kingston, and the list goes on and on and on. You have highly talented individuals that they seemingly get a little bit of a shot, and then the rug is pulled right from under them, and it goes absolutely nowhere.
Well, it's funny you should say the words "the game" when talking about politics.
I knew he was going to say something about that.
I didn't want to be that guy, but I was thinking it.
Hey, you know what? I'm a big Triple H fan, but it can't be ignored. Like, even I can sit here and say, of course.
There's no
but
way
also,
in the
when
world.
he gets in that damn ring, he handles what he needs to.
There's no way in the
This is
world.
the guy that said Chris Jericho should not be a main eventer. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Let's be honest. There's no reason in the world Booker T shouldn't have won the belt at WrestleMania 19. That was a waste. Now, I kind of defend Triple H with the whole politics stuff.
Who are you, this person who says what I think?
Me, David.
Yes, you. Good for you.
You still can't distinguish our voices?
No, I still sort of can, but keep in mind I do have an ear infection, so that's going to be my...
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But anyway, there's no reason in the world Booker T should have lost. That was so stupid. Brock Lesnar didn't either win the Royal Rumble, but that was another story. Booker T losing, stupid. But Triple H has put over some people. I was going to say Randy Orton, but from what I remember, he lost the belt the month after, and Triple H kept the belt for another year, but that's another story.
And not to mention Undertaker made Randy Orton, so...
Yeah, Undertaker made Randy Orton.
We have this discussion like every few weeks. Triple H, you absolutely cannot ignore the influence that Triple H had over Randy Orton's career. Him simply being in the same.
You know what I remember?
He's not the reason why he's a big star. I will say that.
He may not be the chief reason, but he's one of the reasons. You don't understand how much of an impact that has. When you have evolution, it's built up on the past, the present, and the future, and you have Triple H in the ring as the World Heavyweight Champion saying Randy Orton is the future of the business. Like, does that not have any effect on you whatsoever?
Well, look at CM Punk, though. That was so stupid. Why did Punk lose? And this is coming from a CM Punk hater. Why did he lose at, and I mean, I was rooting for Triple H, but still, why did he lose at Night of Champions? What did that do for Punk? Triple H is old. He's eating cheeseburgers. You can tell how fat he's gotten. My God. Like, what did he need to win for? He only wrestles like 3 times a year now.
Okay, you know what? Let's change the topic of discussion. It's not going to be a session.
Hey, for the record, cheeseburgers are very delicious, okay? I will not have you slander the good name of cheeseburgers like that.
I like cheeseburgers, too, so, I mean.
Yes, okay, there, we can agree on this. Let's move on.